Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Brahma Bulletin. Thank you all so much for joining. I greatly appreciate you. And now, this week's stories. The news we have all been waiting for has finally been announced. XFL USFL Merger Officially Announced. Federal regulators approve XFL USFL merger to be led by Russ Brandon. Federal antitrust regulators have cleared the proposed merger of the USFL and XFL spring football leagues, and the parties say they intend to launch a 2024 season as a combined entity on March 30. Quote, "We are pleased to have completed the antitrust review process in connection with the proposed merger of the XFL and USFL and intend to play a combined season this spring, kicking off on Saturday, March 30th. End quote. The party said in a statement, quote, "We are now finalizing terms of the definitive agreement and will share more about this new league in the coming weeks." End quote. Little is known about the structure of the combined entity. Details like its name, surviving markets and teams, broadcast rights, deals, and player employment terms are still in development. However, a source said XFL CEO Russ Brandon will be the top executive of the combined league. Since the merger was announced, XFL executives Mark Ross and Jay Rothman both left the league. Warning, we are entering the rumor zone. XFL USFL Merger Rumors. USFL XFL merger has cleared federal review announcement coming soon. James Larson goes on to say that the new combined league is expected to be named the United Football League, UFL. Additionally, he says that the new league is expected to have 8 teams in 2024. We could see 5 XFL teams and 3 USFL teams in 2024. The goal would be Arlington, Birmingham, DC, Detroit, Houston, Memphis, San Antonio, and St. Louis. Okay, now my little thoughts on these rumors. Now, obviously, they are just rumors. We don't have anything official announced yet. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, that this rumor here is true, and it is the United Football League. Honestly, I really don't care what it's called. I'm just happy that the San Antonio Brahmas are going to survive this league. Now, when it comes to the 8 teams that are making it, it does kind of make sense. I mean, all the teams have stadium deals in place already. Now, when it comes to Houston, is it going to be the Roughnecks or is it going to be the Gamblers? Personally, I think it should be the Roughnecks. The Roughnecks already have a built-in franchise fan base. They played in Houston for 1.5 seasons. Now, the Gamblers, they haven't played in Houston since the 80s. They played their home games in Birmingham. So with that, I think it should be the Roughnecks. Plus, I kind of think the name is a little bit more accurate. I mean, Houston, Oiling, Roughnecks, Oiling as well too. The Gamblers, yeah, they have the name history because they were part of the original USFL back in the 80s. But the Gamblers and Houston, to me, the name doesn't really seem to make a whole lot of sense. Now, if Vegas was to come back in the future, then yeah, I can see renaming the Vegas Vipers into the Vegas Gamblers. Or let's say even Reno, Nevada gets a franchise, and then you name them the Reno Gamblers. That makes sense. So me, I think it should be the Houston Roughnecks. Now, they do have the stadium problem. I reported, a long time ago about how Houston is not going to be playing in the TDECU stadium because of renovations. So where are they going to play? Perhaps University of Houston could be a possibility. Rice Stadium. I think that should be fairly easily worked out. But yeah, I think with the rest of the teams that are not making it, such as the Seattle Sea Dragons, I mean, they were the only team way out in the West Coast all by themselves. So traveling expenses, that kind of makes sense. Obviously, the Vegas Vipers I reported a long time ago that it was already officially announced that they would not be playing in Cashman Stadium next year. So that made sense that they were not going to survive. And then the Orlando Guardians, yeah, they were the worst team in the XFL last year, and their attendance was mediocre, kind of below expectations. So I guess I can see that making sense. So if it is these 8 teams, I'm thinking divisions will be East and West divisions. East division will be the USFL teams that make it. So that'll be Detroit, Birmingham, Memphis, and then we'll add the DC Defenders there. The West will be the 3 Texas teams and St. Louis. So you'll have St. Louis, Houston, Arlington, and San Antonio. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Now, when it comes to the schedule, it does say that it's going to start March 30th. So if you're looking at a schedule being put out maybe 60 days ahead of time, so you're looking at January timeframe in which we're looking at a schedule being released. When it comes to training camp, if you go off last year training camp started a month before the season started. So that means we're looking at around February that training camp will start. Now, the draft, if there is going to be another draft, which I'm assuming there will be, that will be, maybe we're looking at January, because last year the draft was 2 months prior to the season. So that would be around January. And the XFL had a supplemental draft a month before the regular season started. So that would put the supplemental draft around February timeframe. Now, what is the draft going to comprise of? Is it going to be like it was last year, college students? Is it going to be players that were not claimed by the NFL? Or is it going to be a dispersal draft for players that are currently on teams that will not survive the merger? So, for example, New Orleans Breakers players, or the Pittsburgh Maulers, or the Orlando Guardians, are those players going to be included into this draft and then to be dispersed among the teams that did survive? Or are they going to be on hold because these franchises are supposedly being put on a pause mode? So because of that, are they going to be remaining with the team, the hopes that they will come back in 2025? That we don't know yet. I'm thinking possibly we're looking at dispersal draft, so those players that are currently on teams that will not survive have a chance to carry on this year with the teams that will be making it. So we'll see about that. Also, we're looking at maybe the IFL. There are players from the IFL going to be drafted. And speaking of the IFL, the XFL has an exclusive partnership with the IFL. Now, is that partnership going to carry on to this new league? I hope so. I think it's great that players in IFL have a more streamlined ability to get into the next level of professional football and then be one step closer to their NFL dream. So, like I said, these are all rumors. We don't know anything official. Possibly we begin something in the coming weeks, but that's what I'm looking at, and these are just my personal thoughts and feelings, nothing official. But as soon as we get something official, I will let you know. So make sure you're subscribed to this channel and hit that notification for further updates on this developing story. Brahma gets another chance at his NFL dream. The Jets are working out running back Jacques Patrick. Patrick finished the 2023 XFL season with 115 carries for 443 yards, a 3.85 yards per carry average, and 5 touchdowns. The head bull is one step closer to NFL immortality. Hines Ward, semi-finalist for NFL Hall of Fame. Hines Ward, James Harrison named as semi-finalists for Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2024. 2 former Pittsburgh Steelers have been named as semi-finalists for the Pro Football Hall of Fame's class of 2024. Former receiver Hines Ward and former linebacker James Harrison are among the 25 modern-era players who remain eligible to be enshrined into Canton, Ohio's 2024 class. Ward, now an 8-year semifinalist nominee, was declared the MVP of Super Bowl XL, racked up 1,000 catches for 12,083 yards and scored 86 touchdowns. The 25 semifinalists will be reduced to a list of 15 finalists before the final voting process for the class of 2024 ahead of Super Bowl LVIII in February. The posse continues to grow. Signed, defensive back Quante Battle. Defensive end Mark Jackson. Defensive back RJ Roundtree. Linebacker Tristan Vance. Cornerback Malcolm Washington. Wide receiver Naquan Murray. Offensive lineman Larry Williams. A local boy comes back home. SAFC names FERRUZZI sporting director. San Antonio native returns to his hometown after 19 years with Dallas. San Antonio FC announced that they have named Marco FERRUZZI as the club's sporting director. FERRUZZI joins SAFC after spending the past 19-plus years in multiple roles with FC Dallas, most recently as Director of Methodology. A San Antonio native, FERRUZZI has led FC Dallas's draft strategy and preparation for the MLS Super Draft since 2011. Quote, "Returning to San Antonio, where I was born, raised, began my soccer career, and started my family is a special moment," end quote. FERRUZZI said, quote, "Working for SAFC, a championship club and organization, is a great opportunity. I look forward to advancing the high standard that the club has established and building on the success that the USL continues to achieve," end quote. A graduate of San Antonio Keystone High School, FERRUZZI played collegiate soccer at the University of North Carolina from 1989 to 1992. In 1990, he spent the collegiate offseason with the San Antonio Generals. In 1993, he turned professional when he signed with the San Antonio Pumas of the USISL, where he spent 2 seasons. And now, our player in the spotlight, JC Santana, wide receiver, Tulsa. JuanCarlos Santana's tape shows electric speed, reliable hands, and unparalleled yak numbers. His talent is matched only by his work ethic, determination, and a habit of showing up under the brightest lights. JuanCarlos Santana is a product of the Texas high school football production line, another high-level talent that the Lone Star State has churned out. Quote, "Most of my family is from New York. When my mother was about 15, she moved to Houston where she met my father. We lived over in the north side of Houston. But when I got a little bit older, my mom moved me over to Katy. I started football a little late, about 6th grade. I went to Wood Creek Elementary, which was a feeder school for Katy, but I played running back at the time. Once I got to Katy, I changed over to wide receiver," end quote. Katy is known for its defense, and the coaching staff wanted to maintain that. "It's not easy to stand out as a wide receiver at Katy, but my first practice I did very well, which helped convince them I should stay there." JC Santana thrived as a pass catcher for the Katy Tigers, receiving all district honors as a junior before putting up 843 yards and 13 touchdowns as a senior. Quote, "I got my offer from Tulsa in my senior year, but I actually had a lot of scholarship offers already, ever since I was a junior. I always wanted to play for Houston, but they never offered me. Tulsa was in the same conference, and I was like, if I can't play for U of H, I'm going to beat U of H," end quote. Early life at Tulsa wasn't straightforward for JC Santana, who was redshirted his first year on campus and saw little of the field the season after. Quote, I didn't play a lot those first 2 years because of me, nobody else." End quote. A corner was turned for J.C. Santana, who worked his way into the rotation for game time as a sophomore. Quote, 2019 was when I started to contribute. I was a backup on the outside, but I figured that if I could learn inside too, I would have more chance of being the next man up. 2020 was good for me. I got a lot of great one-on-ones, like going up against Sauce Gardner from Cincinnati. Sauce was a tough matchup. He was so big. It wasn't easy to get around him, but I still got mine. He allowed just 9 catches in his entire college career. 4 of them were me." End quote. An incredible season saw him cap off his college career against Houston, turning 6 catches into an astonishing 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. Huge performances against Cincinnati, Tulane, and Mississippi State, as well as the Cougars, are testaments to Santana's ability to find another gear when it matters. Santana's desire to keep playing began back in the offseason, where he made a conscious decision to go all out his final year at college. Quote, "The summer prior, I didn't go back to Katy. I stayed in Tulsa. Usually you go home, rest, and relax, but I knew I had to work for what I wanted, and I just grinded my face off every day." End quote. Explosive doesn't adequately describe the receiver's ease at which he blows by press coverage at the line of scrimmage. With his mother's aversion to the Big Apple, what would she say if that one chance came from the Giants or Jets? Quote, "Man, that would be a dream. She's just going to have to deal with it. That's what I told her. I'd be over the moon to be wanted by any team. I want to repay whoever gives me that shot. I'm determined to be a complete steal. I'm as good as anyone out there. I won't be happy until my bust is in the Hall of Fame." End quote. And that's our player in the spotlight. JC or JuanCarlos Santana, wide receiver from Tulsa. And that's all for this week. If you found this episode informative and entertaining, would you mind hitting that like button? And also consider subscribing to this channel to keep up to date on all things San Antonio Brahmas. I greatly appreciate you. If you're listening on Spotify, would you mind taking a few moments to rate the show and follow as well too? Thank you so much for that. Well, I think it's time for this Brahma to be put out to pasture. At least until the next episode. Until then, San Antonio, horns forward.